Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today it's time to get a little organized around here. I'm going to be taking some drop pipe from projects. We got some 4.5 inch and then a random piece of 5 inch OD pipe that I want to make some racks for all this mess that you see behind me. I'm just going to make pretty much two triangles out of pipe that are about 12 foot long. So 12 foot this way and about, I don't know, a couple feet off the ground to hold all these long sections of pipe. So to start with, I got to join some 4.5 inch pipe together to get my 12 foot. It's pretty much going to look like this. Something like that, and maybe a triangle in the middle also. But it's all going to be pipe, and then these pieces of pipe start getting 3D action here. These pieces of pipe are going to be saddled into this piece. There's going to be a saddle here and then a saddle here, if that makes sense. So 3, 6, 9 pieces all saddled on each end, and these pieces, these long main runners, will just be straight pieces, straight cuts. But to get these long 12 footers, this is the 12 foot side, I'm gonna have to make some welds right here. Hey man, what are you doing? Look who it is. Oh, Kev. Speaking of Kev, let me show y'all what I caught him doing yesterday. You're busted, Kev. In here loafing on the welding machine. How you gonna do that? Huh? If you're gonna be in the shop doing nothing, you might as well be using the welding machine, not sleeping on it. So anyway, Kev, well, this is not a game. This is a YouTube video. It's not a game. So what I was trying to say before we got rudely interrupted by this miniature lion is to get these 12 foot lengths, I'm gonna have to make some welds in here. I've got a couple longer joints, like I said, of that 5 inch OD that I won't have to make any welds on, but I will have to cut them to length. But other than that, I'll have to make some welds in here. What are you gonna do? Set up right here under the shade tree. And the deal of it is we've only got this much time of shade. As the day goes by, we'll lose our shade, so we have to hurry. Have to hurry before we lose our shade. It is so nice to weld, or I mean not weld, to film on a day where it is not windy. I mean, so nice. All right. Watch out, Kev. Watch out, Kevin. Yeah, you're still in the way, Kev. You're still in the way. So I've still been getting quite a few questions on what this thing is. A lot of people call it a apparatus, a jig, or whatever that I've used on cutting off fence posts. I used it like this. And this is called a beveling, a pipe beveling machine. It's a Matthew Dearman. We'll put a link in the description for Matthew Dearman's website. But they've got all different kinds of pipe beveling machines, different sizes. You may have to, I don't know if you can buy directly off their website, but you can at least get educated on what they, what they offer and whatnot. But chances are you'll have to find a dealer, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, this is a pipe beveling machine. You can make just a straight cut with it. The bridge is not on it. We still have to put the bridge on. That's what I'm doing now. These are dogs. I just took 3 inch dogs off. This beveling machine here will cut anywhere from 2 inch to 4 inch. This is a 3 inch piece of pipe. See, it doesn't fit in here, but with these dogs, it fits 3 inch pipe or 3.5 OD. But anyway, and they got dogs for 2 inch, And then without any dogs, it fits 4-inch. And then whenever we go to cut the 5-inch OD, probably just cut it by hand, but if I was working on 5-inch in the field where I needed a bevel, I think they actually make 5-inch dogs for a bigger bevel machine, for the 3 to 8 beveling machine, 3-inch to 8-inch. But so anyway, you would have to get 5-inch dogs. They're just not as common, but they do make them, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I have any 5-inch dogs from my other bevel machine, but I do have a way to modify it. I got my own custom dogs, if you will. This here is the bridge. It's what holds the barrel torch. This here is called a barrel torch. It's made for bevel machines, track torches, I don't even know what else. I'm only 32 years old, only been doing this for 14 years. A lot of people have been doing it longer than I have and know way more than I do. Let's go ahead and make a cut here. So I go around one time with the oxygen on. All that does is blow stuff off. If it has any surface rust, or if you're cutting on coated pipe, that helps you get the coating off. Or you can go around with the cutting lever off. But go around it at least one time just to preheat it, is what that first pass is for. And then second time, you can start cutting. You don't have to go back like I just did, but sometimes it does help it cut a little cleaner. It doesn't leave a little notch in it. For this type of thing, it literally doesn't matter. In fact, I could probably get away with not even putting bevels on these for what I'm using this stuff for, but I like to use this opportunity to share any kind of knowledge that I may have about pipe work with those of you that are interested in pipe work. So, and at the end of the day, it does make a stronger joint here, a stronger weld by putting a bevel in. Go ahead and put one on this side now. Boy, do y'all think I ought to measure these two pieces? Make sure I got 12 foot. We got 7 foot and 6 foot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man, yeah. Y'all hear that? My weld machine's a little bit quieter. So now that we've got our ends cleaned up, we obviously need to line them up the best we can. And obviously the best way is to use squares and levels, but to get it close you can use your eyeball, which from your perspective down there you ought to be able to see. Just like I'm gonna get down here, by where you're at you can tell which way the pipe needs to go and whatnot. So looks like this needs to go that way a little bit. Is that what you see down there? Okay. Let's see what you see. Let me take a peek here. You can't see a lot from where I had you, but so you can get down here and look. Make sure it's pretty. Looks like it needs to go to the left just a little, but it also looks like that far end needs to come up a little bit, or this end needs to come up just a touch, or the two middle jacks need to come down a little bit, is what it kind of looks like. But again, just encouraging you to use that eyeball to get things close, and then put your levels and squares on. It all kind of depends on what size of pipe and what particular project I'm doing, on whether I'm going to use a level or just squares. So what I've done there is I've got this piece level, so now I'm going to leave it alone and I'm going to make this piece match. I'm going to get this flush here, and then the only piece I'm going to move is this one, because this one's level. You can get a close idea by setting this right here, but I'm going to end up checking it with a two framing squares, two 2-foot framing squares. I just feel like way more accurate that way. I'm also going to be welding this out with just 6010 1/8 in diameter, 6010 5P plus. I've got my 2012 SAE 300 set between the 120 range and the 150 range on the left knob, and then I've got her set at 55 on the fine current. I do not know if I will like this or not. I may have to adjust it after I start welding. As far as my space, I would normally put a spacing band in there, but I might just get a tool, get a hammer on deck, and get a tool right here to give my space, making sure it's pretty decent all the way around. The high-low is where one piece of pipe is higher than the other, so I want to make sure my high-low is even all the way around, if there is any high-low. If the two pieces of pipe are exactly the same size, OD and ID, outside measurement and inside measurement, then in theory you shouldn't have any high-low, but we live in an imperfect world, so if you do have any high-low, just make sure it's even. A little warm. Instead of 55 on the right knob, I'm gonna come down to 40. Now that I've got one tack in it, I'm going to check top and bottom, showing that it needs to go up or down back here per se. Okay, it's good top and bottom. It's good this way, but I need my pipe to draw that way, so I'm going to go around there and I'm going to start over there and run my tack this way, and that should, if anything, make this draw the correct way. All right, starting from the top. Getting a little bit tight down here, so before I take off, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with a grinder. It's essentially jammed up, but you can see my keyhole here, and I ground a little bit in front of it, and I'm gonna take off up here. That way, in case there's any imperfections in my bead back here right before my keyhole, I'll be able to run back through it and then fall right into where I need to weld. But by grinding that, I'm thinning the landing, and the landing's the part that's on the end. Still on 40 on my main, on my right knob. Still on my same temperature, 40 on the fine current. All right, we ground the bead down, and I'm now going to turn my machine. Let's see, we'll turn it up to 50. Leave this knob the same. And like I said, gonna be welding with nothing but 1/8 60-10. I'm gonna be welding downhill. It's toe-nailing really bad to the right side there. What I mean by toe-nailing is, see how the end of that rod is angled like so? Whenever I was welding, my rod kept wanting to just stick to this side. I said the right side, but that's because to correct the toe-nailing. It's wanting to stick to this one side or burn to this one side of this rod. I was forcing it into the right side to counteract the toe-nail to the left. Another reason I bend my welding rod is so I can quickly turn my rod around like so, and see now the angle of the flux, the way the rod is burned, is the other way. So by flipping it around and starting to weld, that will help with the toe-nailing a little bit. So we'll just leave it just like that, scrape off where I started, and then I'm going to fire up down here below it and drag up into my crater and take off. I'm actually going to go turn it down 5 also. We're now on 45. Strike up down yonder, warm up my rod, drag it up, and see now it's wanting to burn the other way, which is good. I'm trying to keep my rod straight into the pipe. What I mean by straight into the pipe is I don't want to angle back too far, and I don't want to be pushing it too much. I'm not saying that I don't ever do those motions, because depending on the welding rod, the size of pipe, and how the welding rod is burning, sometimes I will push it and sometimes I will lean it back to try to get the rod to burn right. So there's not like a right or wrong way, but like just to have something kind of like a guideline, like I talked about in last week's video. A guideline is to try to keep it straight in versus too far angled back or too far angled forward. That's the guideline, but really I encourage you just to do whatever makes the rod burn better. So go ahead and scrape off where I stopped my crater here. Finish welding out that bottom. If it's toenailing on you and you turn your rod and it still doesn't help, fresh rod do all the good. So here's what it looks like after the second pass, also known as the hot pass. See how we still got quite a bit of bevel showing. Some of this is really deceiving on camera, but yeah, this is kind of a better view. We can for sure put another pass in there. If we were hot passing with the 532, it wouldn't be as low, but I'm just welding it all out, kind of for funsies, but also just to I think it's good to show different processes of welding stuff out, because I've actually had to take a test with 6010 only all the way out on a test once. Any practice is good practice when it comes to welding pipe. Now I was allowed to use different diameters. I didn't have to use all one size like I'm doing here, but 6010 is known for bug holing, so like on a pipe test, that's what you want to watch out for. You want to make sure where you're starting and whatnot doesn't have. In fact, see, there's a little one right here. There's a little bug hole, I think, where I started. So it's just something to look out for with 6010. So all that to say is it's good to practice with all different kinds of rods. Any practice is good practice. It doesn't matter. You know, you don't have to have 80-10 to practice welding pipe. You can practice with whatever rod. All of it's good practice. All right, still got her on 40, 45? Yeah, 45. Go ahead and take off welding. I'm actually going to leave that top a little bit low. Do the same thing over here. Instead of starting directly on top, I started down here a little bit, and over here I'm going to start down the side a little bit, because whenever we go to cap this thing, it's going to pile up real high on the top, which I am using 1/8, so I probably should have started a little bit further on top just now, but I think we can make her work. It might be ugly, but we'll be able to make her work. Left her low about an inch up there on top. This side here is pretty full, as we can see. This side here, on the other hand, is a little bit low right in here. So I'm gonna run what we call a stripper right here, a little 2 or 3 inch, yeah, probably like 2 inch spot. Run me one more rod, brush it off, and then cap it. All right. Again, leaving my machine on 45. Starting down here and dragging to the top. Making really tight circles. I just barely want the edge of my puddle to hit my bevels. See, there's that bug hole. That 60-10 bug hole. See that bug hole right here? You might be dark already. We'll run a band-aid on that later, because it's best to sand that down instead of try to go over it. If I try to go over it right now without grinding it, it'll most likely either come back or like just come to the surface, or it'll get caught underneath, which for this home project ain't a big deal, but pipeline work, that's no bueno. That could be a busted x-ray. Porosity. Porosity. There's that little rascal right here. On this, I may not worry about it, but if I was on a pipeline job, I'd sand this down a couple inches, an inch on either side, and make sure, maybe even hit it with a grinder if it's too deep. And I'd start up here and run what we call a band-aid right over it. Strike down here, drag up here, tie it in good, just doing a little back and forth motion, and then start to try and make her pretty. Again, just barely touching the edges. Keeping my circles kind of tight. Now I'm just kind of going back and forth. Keeping my rod moving in at a constant rate. Like feeding it in, I mean. Starting down here, dragging up to my crater, tie it in as nice as you can. Little bug hole trying to sneak up on us. Dagnabbit. Bada bing, bada boom, brush her off, cut her to length, on to the next one. I can't help myself. I gotta fix the bug hole. Another one trying to pop up. See? Here it is. Finished up. There's where my band-aid started. Come on down to here, you can see where I stopped because there's a crater. But got her all capped all the way out with 1/8 6010. Thanks for coming along with me today. If you're looking for more helpful resources, you can check out our website, arosswelding.com. And if you want to get notified whenever the pipe fence course opens for enrollment, you can text the word trade school to 405-643-7176, and we'll shoot you a text whenever it opens for enrollment. We're definitely going to open it for enrollment this fall, possibly this summer sometime. We're not sure yet on the summer enrollment. And if the pipe fence course isn't your thing, but you want to get notified whenever we release other types of online courses, you can also text the word trade school to that number. We do have a couple of online courses in the making as we speak. Not sure when we will release them, but if you want to get notified, you can text that number. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you have an awesome weekend. We'll see you next Friday. And remember, learn something every day.